Hey, Gabriel,
Hey, Gaybros, Jose.
where are we today?
We are in the same place we've been for, 10 months now?
I don't know. It feels like just
Been
100 months. Yeah. Is it, who would have thought that May 2020 would have lasted 800 days?
Yeah, I mean, before we started recording, I was saying I want there to be something to do that's not picking up food to go at a restaurant. That's all I want.
No, you're getting there. Eventually.
I did go to the mall last weekend. Did I tell you this?
To what? To the Westfield?
Yeah. And it was very strange. Like, some of the stores are closed. Like, Bloomingdale's was like empty from an inventory standpoint. So was Nordstrom's. They had closed. I don't know if you've been to Nordstrom there, but you can enter several different levels of the mall. And they had some of those blocked off. It felt like a war zone. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I went a couple of weeks ago actually. I went to the H&M, I think, but I didn't even realize that the Microsoft store had been closed.
Where was the Microsoft store? Oh, yeah, I remember when they used to have the headset you could try.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you that it's not only that some of the stores are closed, it's that I don't remember a single time that it was so dead. That's what it is right now.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and nobody was social distancing.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys, we're in an escalator. Just relax.
Oh yeah, that's true. It reminds me, or it's how I imagine like malls in deep America nowadays.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
No, that's not true at all, because nothing is shut down in like Idaho and Utah, so it's just like business as usual.
No, what I mean is that they're already like closing up. According to what I hear, is that most malls they're dying. They're a dying breed.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. And it's like I think that Deep America had like significantly more malls than the Bay Area. At least San Francisco always try to invest for small businesses.
Yep.
But in any case, after this sad reflection on how things are going, what do we watch this time?
We watched the 2006 film that got a 10-minute standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival, Shortbus.
So it's not a masterpiece, it's not a cult classic, it's only 10-minute ovation worthy at Cannes.
Yeah, that's the description I came up with.
Okay, thank you. And this was certainly your pick. Why did you pick it?
Well, we've been on kind of an erotic thriller. I would say, right? Blue Velvet's a thriller. Eyes Wide Shut. It's a slow boil thriller. And in my mind, I hadn't seen Shortbus, and everybody's seen Shortbus, and I was like, let's finally watch it. So I picked it.
Okay, you did. Picking it, you did. So I guess that is my turn for summarizing this. And basically, it's one of those stories of cross lives. You know, that the action follows this gay couple, the Jamies, that they have been dating for a while. One of the Jamies is clearly not happy and they're thinking about opening the relationship, and they decide to go to a sex therapist. Well, couples counselor.
Couples therapist. Yes.
Couples therapist. And this girl has like supposedly a very rewarding sex life, very active sex life with his wife, with his husband. That they fuck in very crazy positions, but she never had an orgasm. She has a secret.
Not just with her husband. Never. She's
never masturbating or anything. And then the third piece of the story is this dominatrix. Severin, yeah, that she's more happy by herself and with herself than having to interact with other human beings. So she never like develops like a full-fledged relationship with them. And the stories cross because all of them go to this party, or like this apartment,
salon, like a weekly salon.
Yeah, that is not really like a bar or anything. It's a bit more of just go here and be sexually free. Just fuck whatever you want to fuck.
It's like a gay circuit party here in San Francisco, but apparently for straight people. I didn't
2.
know.
For the straight people, 2.
Oh, yes, as well. It's not just straight people.
Yeah, because we can see like one of the Keith, I don't remember,
Seth with a C.
That's it, that he ends up like just making out with a former mayor of New York in his probably 80s.
An old man that was very wise and kind to him and had
He
a
was.
very weird speech about New York. One thing I think you left out that's important is that these couples therapist, and I'm not going to remember any of these people's names.
Sophia?
I think you're right, yeah. So Sophia goes to Shortbus
Yes.
because she was invited by her clients
Yeah.
to go to a sex party, and like any good licensed psychotherapist, she went.
After slapping one of them in the face.
During a session.
Yep.
And then she apologized and explained, oh, well, that's okay. I've never had an orgasm. Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that I think that is actually just elevates the synopsis. I think that it's important to just highlight this. So the rest of the 90 movies, they just basically follow the path of Sophia into having an orgasm, the path of James from the Jamies trying to be happy, committing suicide, and then just being rescued by a stalker that has been observing them for years from across the street.
Who's just like the sweetest boy. I just want to be with that kid. He's just so nice.
It's fucking creepy.
Super creepy, but you know that I like, you know.
I don't know if that guy will be mean to you, you know. And also, and Severin just happens to be there. Severin just develops some kind of friendship with Sophia. They think that they may be like leveraging on each other life experience. Sophia can achieve one organs, and Severin can actually just develop like a bit more of a human connection with other people.
Yeah, which she's unable to do, and she lives in a storage unit when she's not dominating men.
Yeah. And then there is a whole, how do you say, like the lights goes off in whole southern New York.
They keep calling it a brownout in the movie because they don't fully go out throughout the movie, and then finally there's an actual blackout.
Yeah, so there's a blackout. They're all in Shortbus, and then all the stories that just basically resolve themselves or not. We can see that Jamie, after trying to commit suicide and being rescued by the creepy stalker neighbor, and just bottoming for the first time in his life.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, if you're in a committed relationship with a top who won't be fucked, and then he goes and has a one-night stand and gets fucked,
Yeah,
I don't even want
that's it. No. I get it. You know, like, okay, clearly you didn't love this guy, but then he actually says, like, no, I truly love him. And then they go back together. They're happy again. It almost feels like they're closing the relationship because for a while they adopt Seth as the third of the relationship, almost like just having the feeling that James was like taking him into the relationship for just saying like, okay, I can commit suicide now because my boyfriend is going to be happy. I already found my replacement for him.
Which is why the suicidal Jamie wanted to open the relationship in the first place, because he knew he was going to commit suicide and wanted other Jamie to have a companion.
But at the same time, is that the other Jamie, the I'm albino, that I hated that catchphrase that they use over and over. The one that is an actor, he actually says,
I remember.
Yeah, he actually says multiple. Well, he says to the therapist that is that the false epiphany, the reason why he gets a slap in the face by Sophia, is that I love everyone and I want everyone to love me, so I want to be in an open relationship.
I just.
Well, let me just finish. It's like I just do the synopsis. Yeah. So at the end, well, this blackout happens. Sophia has already broken up with his husband because his husband just bottomed for a random guy in a previous party in Shortbus. Basically, yeah, you remember that they actually mentioned that Severin tells him, like, hey, by the way, I saw your husband that he was bottoming for someone, that he was like just getting in the butt. He's like, wait, what? He's like, I was joking. No, I wasn't.
So I thought it was a joke. I missed the part where she's like, "Oh no."
She retracts the joke. She said, "No, it was serious. That actually happened."
I missed that.
Yeah, but it was okay. I don't want to just give my opinion yet. So basically, at the end, we see Sophia like just getting randomly dragged into a triad, into a threesome of a girl that she was like looking at multiple
2Vs,
times.
1D.
The what?
2Vs, 1D threesome.
Yeah, basically. She makes out with them, and immediately she has an orgasm, and the lights come back, and that's it. And at the same time, we see Severin like just sitting in a chair completely by herself. The end.
Now prepare for 10 minutes of clapping. Yay! Unsimulated sex.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that every single scene is pretty clear that this is unsimulated sex, like the guy like just start recording on the first 10 minutes, records himself completely naked, and then having a boner and just coming on his mouth, on his own mouth.
Yeah, giving him, what is it called? Autofellatio?
Autofellatio, yeah.
Very impressive what he was able to do.
But from a cinematic perspective, I don't know if that actually adds a lot to the movie.
And also, like, if you think, so suicidal Jamie is working on some very secretive film project that his boyfriend wants to see, and he keeps saying, no, no, no. And you only find out much later in the film that he's making Jamie basically some sort of film goodbye that represented all the best of their relationship and touching moments, them lying next to each other, sleeping, blah, blah, blah. But then you remember how the movie opened, and so what part in that film montage was him giving himself a blowjob in like, I killed myself, but we had a great life together.
I'm crying.
Crying while came on a film effect.
Just, I want you to remind me like this, with my own dick in my mouth, I'm crying. Honestly, I'm not going to be like sugarcoating. I found it dumb.
So I'll say that like 30 seconds into this movie, I was like, oh, I have seen Shortbus before. So not to jump to the end, but is this movie memorable? Besides unsimulated sex, absolutely not. Like, this is so stupid. It can't ever find like the tone that it wants to find that's between like slapstick comedy and serious like sexual reawakening, and the characters are so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is that the script is terrible. It doesn't know exactly how to resolve anything. It almost feels like when they were thinking about this movie, they were thinking about vignettes, about sex, and then they try to connect it with specific characters. But I just felt like, at the end when Severin is like completely by herself, is like so that's it. Is that we see like, yeah, nothing happened, no personal growth, not anything. Is that she just there by herself, nothing. And we see Sophia that is like, okay, you ended up having an orgasm, but it's not like an orgasm about like personal growth or anything. You had an orgasm with random couple that you didn't even interact with. After all this time, is like, are you telling me that was the secret, that's having sex with someone else?
Not to lend too much like credence to the script, but I kind of understood that she wasn't able to have an orgasm because she was in a relationship that wasn't right for her. Do you remember in the speech that she gives to her husband in the beginning of the film where she says, oh, I have these clients and the woman isn't able to achieve an orgasm, but that's totally fine because it's all about her. It has nothing to do with her partner. She couldn't orgasm because she was so messed up, and getting together with Severin and going through this like sexual freedom journey, I think is what she needed to whatever. I
felt like it's like, look, if you're going for that, this was not as developed as it should. Severin was not developed as it should. I found like the part of I committed suicide, the stalker rescued me, and then I bottomed for him, like what? And this when I realized that I want to be alive and I want to be with my boyfriend, I feel like, what?
So does it change anything if you understand that the director started a website before this film and he called the movie the Untitled Sex Movie or something, Untitled Sex Film. And 500 people, I think, sent in videos and he narrowed it down to 40 of them. And on the website, it said the script will not be determined until we know who the actors are. And then the actors actually told stories from their own lives, and that drove the movie.
No, because it's even more, like an example is that, yeah, I mean, it's a bit more that these are exactly vignettes. You could have done like 3 stories. You could do like a New York, I love you kind of situation. And it's like, but it's New York, I fuck you.
That's what I was just going to say.
We are Gaybros after all. So, but it's that you could have done something like that. What you're doing here is that you're trying to do something a bit more sophisticated. You're trying to do the trope of connected stories. And it doesn't bring anything to the table. It's like when I think about Severin, I even feel like just peace about like what is the personal growth. It feels like for a second that she's connecting with Sophia, but Sophia basically rejects her.
Well, no, they strike a delicate friendship, and then Severin jumps on her and rides her until she comes.
And she actually just comes in 30 seconds, yeah.
And then her husband hires her as a dominatrix. So it's not like she rejects her without a reason.
No. What I mean is that even rejects her is not about like without a reason. I just say that it's like there is nothing else to her after that. Because she being the dominatrix for the husband of Sophia doesn't add anything to either character. It's like I just feel that okay, the husband may be unsatisfied, he may be like more adventurous. But to Sovereign is, I just feel like you were a sad character to begin with, and you leave the movie as a sad character.
Yeah, I hated her husband. So there's this scene where they're at Shortbus, not for the first time. She's really trying to work on herself and figure out her sexuality, why she can't have an orgasm. And she buys this remote-controlled egg that she sticks in her vagina. And she gives him the remote, and she's like, look, this is just a fun thing. Like, if you just want to say hi, buzz me. If you just want me to come back, buzz me. Like, she was trying to experiment and do fun things. And he not only didn't show any interest, he just gave the remote away.
He lost it,
and somebody was trying to use it as a remote. And because she kept vibrating, her only bodily reaction could possibly be to start punching people. Oh, I was so upset at how stupid that scene was. I was so upset.
I have to say, look, there was a point that I was like, I don't know if this is better than I think or as stupid as I think. That is when she actually goes with the egg to the street and with the leg, start like just hitting it. And it's like, okay, I feel like this is the kind of campiness that I would expect from Almodovar, from the old Almodovar of the 80s. But when Almodovar has to turn into serious, he can deliver a consistent story. This guy cannot.
And that's what I was saying about it not understanding the film itself, not understanding what it is. Because you're right, Almodovar can walk this line between like campiness, but then also have an authentic, sincere, heartfelt story that makes sense. This film couldn't do campy right, and it couldn't do the authentic parts of the script right. Like, nothing of it felt okay.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that was like the part that I think that after that point, I started just feeling that this is just dumb. It almost felt like this is that the indie art house bullshit that is not going anywhere. And I'm not completely sure if it's an art house film or not.
I mean, it had a budget of $2 million, and it was like, I would call this an independent film for sure. I mean, obviously it's independent. I think at the time people thought it was artistic, but I honestly just think it was because it was an American film, a very American film that showed sex in a way that American film never does. I think that's it.
That's true. That's true, but I mean, the only artistic thing I think about today's standards could say that they are like those transitions with.
I knew you were going to like those. I knew it.
I'm not saying that I like them, but I feel it's like, look, this is cute, but it's like when I actually have like this guy like doing autofellatio and then this woman doing like all the positions of the Kama Sutra, like back to back. Why do you do this kind of childish transition, with clay that almost feels like clay, New York made with clay, basically?
Did it remind you of anything that we watched recently?
I mean, it reminded me of The Science of Sleep.
Yep, exactly. I was like,
It-
they stole this
country.
from Science of Sleep.
This is country. This is like basically his style about like just trying to make a reality with crafts that you have around. Is that they just, instead of actually having like a depiction of New York that it feels more grim or whatever, is they made this like more playful.
And again, I actually enjoyed the scenes. I'm sorry, did you describe it? It's basically like, it's like New York made out of paper mache, kind of. It's just like with buildings that are clearly cracked. I mean, it's really, really well done, but it doesn't match anything with the rest of the movie. It just feels as out of place as almost everything else. It feels as out of place as the threesome between three men, where a man who's getting rimmed isn't satisfied with the way he's getting rimmed. So he asks the giver to make some noises, and so they all three start to sing the Star Spangled Banner right into his asshole.
That's true. Yeah. He asked, "Is this the first time that someone sees the Eve in your eyes?" Like, no, it's not. While the stalker is watching from the other side.
So I went to the New York Times to try and see what their critic thought about the film. This is 15 years ago this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I accidentally, instead of reading the review, I read a long story about the making of the film and like the story behind it. It wasn't really talking about the movie itself.
Oh, that's the reason why you knew about the actors, the cast, and everything.
Yeah. Like I learned like Jamie and Jamie are a real life long-term couple, and they're both named Paul, and one of them changed his name so that they weren't Paul and Paul, so that he could get some in the relationship, just like in the movie.
Okay.
And so this article was saying it's going to show sex like no other film does, but because of that, it gets so much more attention than a $2 million film could ever get. And I think the director was onto something. I think he did all of this sex to get a ton of attention. And if you think about it, what film made for $2 million that's 15 years old are we still talking about? We're still talking about Shortbus, and in my opinion, not because it's good, but because there's sex in it.
But just thing is that we mentioned it a couple of times, and I think that I mentioned it to you because I partially watched this movie. I got to a point that I said, this is done back then. I watched Hedwig, and I thought, okay, Hedwig has like an interesting story from the beginning to the end. It's a musical. I like it.
It's the same director, just FYI.
It's the same director. Yeah, it's the same director. So I was like just curious about like just watching Shortbus. At that point, he hadn't done any of his Hollywood movies because we will talk about it later. But I was just curious about like, is this still like some kind of underground like cult hit? And what I saw on Shortbus is like, look, I understand that you want to display sex that for these characters is central to their lives. But the problem that I have is that it's not that it's central to their lives, it's that they are sex. They are not full human beings that happen to have sex, like in other movies. It's that they are sex. You know, it's not even like Nymphomaniac. It's even worse than Nymphomaniac. Because Nymphomaniac is a character that is like, I don't want to be defined by sex, or is like, I know that being defined by sex is not the right way to be. And in these characters and this depiction of New York, as they mentioned like multiple times, is 100% about sex.
I would completely agree. I think even in Nymphomaniac, we're given an insight into these characters and why they're nymphomaniacs, or there are other things going on in their lives. And there's just not that here. The closest thing is suicidal Jamie, who is clearly having some mental health issues. So he kind of has a little bit of story, but again, we don't find anything about him, about any of the rest of his life. He wants to open the relationship and has a threesome and goes to sex parties, and he's sad.
But we don't even know why he's sad.
We really don't. And I think they tried to give us that in a conversation where he's like, nothing gets through my skin. It's been this way my whole life. But that's not character development.
I mean, I felt peace about that conversation because so you are connecting with the conversation of the former mayor of New York about like being permeable and impermeable.
Yep, I got so fucking annoyed.
Come on, can you look more at the camera? It's just, I don't know. It's just use the word. It's just say like, oh, I'm impermeable to love. I honestly, I didn't feel insulted. I didn't feel entertained per se. I felt like just rolling my eyes for most of the movie.
So I know that YouTube doesn't produce pornographic material like this, but if anybody listening has watched like the YouTube original series that they paid to produce, and it's just like not even sophomoric, it's like elementary school productions of really poorly thought out entertainment, that's where this belongs. It's like this is like if a 16-year-old was going to direct a film, like they're doing film class and they're like, I'm going to make sex and put it on screen just like it really is. But this kid has no idea about sex or like about real life, and he doesn't have the emotional depth or maturity to examine these characters as characters, not as just people who have sex.
Yeah. And I think and you actually explained it completely perfectly. That is like the problem is like how this movie was conceived. That is that you just conceive it as a collection, as a vignette, so a collection of vignettes of sex, of people that they are only interested because of the sex that they have. And from that perspective, I think that is some of the stuff that they depict on the sexual aspect is that, yeah, this feels like a couple, you know? And now that you tell me about like just the Pauls / the Jamies, that they were a couple, is that makes sense because you clearly have some kind of chemistry between them. But at the same time, is as you said, is that this felt indie in not the right way.
Yep, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So when he narrowed it down from 500 applicants down to the top 40, he took all 40 to not a movie theater, an actual theater. And he said, the people who have sex in this movie, they must have some chemistry. So they played their audition tapes, and all the actors held up a number between 1 and 4, depending on your interest in them. And the Jamies, or the Pauls, both showed a tremendous amount of interest in Seth with a C, and so did Seth. And so then the director's like, all right, throw these 3 together, get them having sex.
Oh my goodness. Okay. You know, it's funny because I was approaching this movie. I'm not going to be telling you the initial score, but thank you, because you're convincing me more and more to just lower it. Honestly, I just felt this, okay, this movie was famous, but it's like, as you said, it's like, I think that the only legacy that this movie is leaving around is that there was unsimulated sex.
If the sexual acts had been toned down to just what a rated R movie is, which can get pretty risque, but you're not going to see a penis enter a vagina or like an actual blowjob. If it was toned down just a little bit, nobody would ever talk about this film ever. Yeah,
and you know the thing that I find fascinating is that John Cameron Mitchell, that is the director of this. This was his second movie, but his third movie was Rabbit Hole
with Nicole Kidman and Aaron Eckhart.
I never watched it. I always feel like curious about like, did you watch it?
I did. I flew to San Francisco and saw it when I was not living here.
Did you like it? Was it good?
So it's been 11 years, but what I remember is that this is technically a good film, but for me personally, it was boring. That's what I remember.
Okay, and I think that is fine. That was a bit more of my feeling, but it's like, how come this guy, after doing Hedwig, that is like an underground cult classic, and Shortbus, that is like one of the most sexual movies that I ever watched, and probably one of the dumbest ones. How come did he actually?
And then Nicole Kidman was like, "Me, pick me to be in."
I find it like mind blowing. It's like, how come did they actually just jump into Hollywood and gets actually like 2 A-list stars? I mean, it's true that Aaron Eckhart is not the best, but it's like in 2010, it's like, how come did they actually trust them to actually do a product like this?
I genuinely have no idea. I didn't realize that he was the director of Rabbit Hole until I jumped on the IMDb page for this recording. It also shocked me.
Yeah, I mean, I checked it yesterday and I was like, well, I actually remember how to talk to girls at parties. like from a couple of years ago. And at that point, they actually mentioned, "Oh, this is the director from Hedwig," because we never mentioned Shortbus. You won't find a mainstream outlet that are going to be saying like, "This is the director of Shortbus." And Nicole Kidman is also on that one.
That blows my mind.
It's just mind-blowing to me, because from Hedwig, I think that this is an okay director. From this, it's like, what the fuck? It's like, I understand that you want to do something, but it's that you are not John Waters. Is that this? Maybe you're trying to be John Waters, but you are not John Waters.
Fun fact, suicidal Jamie, who in real life is named Paul. Paul has a cousin that shares the exact same name as him, that's also an actor who did full frontal nudity in Waters' film, which is one of the reasons he changed his name from Paul.
Wow. Okay, that's fascinating trivia. I'm a bit, the more I think about it, I'm a bit more in shock about this movie, about John Cameron Mitchell. I don't know who he has sex with in Hollywood for actually just landing, like these movies.
I wonder if he's just like one of these, I wouldn't call him Hollywood, but like an insider in the industry that people just genuinely love, right? Like maybe he's the life of the party and Nicole Kidman fell in love with him as a person and was willing to be in 2 of his films. Because I don't understand another reason about why he would be able to direct beyond Shortbus.
Well, I also would say something. It reminds me a bit, but it's true that there were a couple of steps in between to Peter Jackson, starting with very gory, B-serious movies in New Zealand. Evil Dead, Brain Dead, Brain Death. I don't remember the second one, Meet the Fables, and Heavenly Creatures. And then he went to do The Lord of the Rings.
But he didn't do anything before that?
He did like those 4 movies. It's like 2 B-series movies, like gory movies. It's like one of them he was doing when he was like a postman or like USPS worker. Well, USPS like in New Zealand. Then he did another one. There was another like B-series movie, Brain Death. Was that one? I think, or the second one. And then he did Meet the Feebles. That is basically Avenue Q on steroids. Like super gruesome, dark, kind of, like a Sesame Street movie. And then he did Heavenly Creatures, and then immediately just went to do A Lord of the Rings. And that's the feeling that I have here. It's like, I haven't watched Rabbit Hole and How to Meet Girls at Parties, but maybe he's talented, because Hedwig is a good movie. But this just left me with like, how come you do this? And then Nicole Kidman is willing to say like, oh yeah, I definitely want to be on your next movie.
I don't understand it. Honestly, the fact that when I started watching this, I immediately remembered that I had seen it. It's completely forgettable. I still watched it all the way through, and I was just annoyed by the end of it. Like, this is just a waste of my time. Then I read that New York Times article, and it wasn't even the review, so I went to start reading the review. It's a New York Times critic pick, which I'm losing all faith in, and I had no more energy to give to this movie, so I didn't even read the review. I was like, fuck you, I'm done.
Was it from the same reviewer that also gave a critic pick to, God, I'm trying to find it, and
the guard or whatever?
You know which one, or like the host, the guest, the
guest, yeah.
Yeah, was it the same?
I have no idea.
The guest, yeah. But do they have like an anatomy of a scene where the guys are just just coming off his own mouth?
So in that article, it did say that because the actors were so uncomfortable, doing the things they do on screen, which none of them came from pornography. These are like people who are trying to make these actors. The director suggested, how about everybody gets naked? So everybody on set was naked, including the cameraman, including the director, and the director jumped into the scene in one of the orgies. So if you really want to see James Cameron Mitchell naked, you can pay close attention and see him in one of the orgy scenes.
Well, I don't remember if he was naked in Hedwig, but if I remember correctly, he was Hedwig.
I didn't know that. Well, I've never seen Hedwig, but I know.
Uh, so this is the only movie by John Cameron Mitchell that you have watched out of the four movies that he has.
No. I watched. I
Well,
watched
sorry.
Rabbit Hole.
Oh, you did. Gotcha. Yeah. Sorry.
But I mean, so he directed Shortbus and then Rabbit Hole and then How to Talk to Girls at Parties. But that's it since 2006. He's done a number of shorts, a couple TV episodes.
Well, How to Talk to Girls at Parties is 2017. It's 3 years ago.
Yeah, but I'm saying between 2006 and now, he's had two other films. So in 15 years, he's directed two films. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Maybe he's one of these like how do you say, like multifaceted artists, and maybe he's like just doing some other stuff.
I mean, I feel like I'm not even expressing my own opinion anymore. I'm just reciting what I read in the newspaper. But he does seem to be in that very hip underground New York art scene, which the hipster aspect of this made me want to throw up as well. Like the whiny bands that they have playing, and that drag queen, which is apparently half of a very famous performing duo. It's like they were all sitting in their apartments in Brooklyn and they're like, let's get our friends that are in a band to play, let's get all of our friends to have sex, and we're gonna make a movie that's gonna change the world because free love.
At least it didn't start a movement like Dogma 95.
At least.
So, I will give him that. That is like, he may have been a bit more realistic than Thomas Winterberg and Lars von Trier. Just leave it there. But yeah, I mean, there are like many things that they feel like so homemade. But not so homemade, in the right kind of way. Not like Gondry. The Gondry some stuff is like homemade, but it's in a very imaginative way, and you can see it's like, yeah, this feels homemade, but probably you just spend like $1 million, just on this part.
But I think that Gondry has the
vision.
He has yes, exactly, the vision, the imagination, like that. Yeah, it can look homemade, but it doesn't matter because there's an interesting story. There's characters that make sense, that are well-rounded. There's something so missing about this movie that I don't know. The only reason we're talking about it is because of sex. That's it.
Okay, let's go over the question, because I think that at this point we're going to start like just talking in circles. Would you watch it again?
No.
I love how categorical you are saying no.
I hesitated a little bit because in 5 years I won't remember this film.
You may fool yourself into watching it again, but not because you want to watch it. Okay.
But the second that guy starts to suck his own dick, I'll be like, nope, I remember.
This is the first time that porn actually will serve as a warning, not as an arousing factor.
I would watch Nymphomaniac Part 1 and Part 2 again before I watch Shortbus.
Don't make me watch Nymphomaniac Part 1 and Part 2 again, please.
I'll add it to
just stop. I don't think that I will watch it again. I think that this confirmed, as when we're watching Blue Velvet, I felt that I was dumb for not liking this movie back then. And I even just talked with some of my friends from back then. He said, hey, you remember we were watching all the David Lynch movies? And I say that this was not a good movie. I was wrong. On this case with Shortbus, is that just confirms that I was right. This was a damn movie.
So wait, when did you see it for the first time?
2009, probably.
And you didn't like it back then?
No, I didn't finish watching it. I just felt that this is just about the sex. I mean, there is nothing else that is like significant.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah. Would you recommend it?
To be honest, if somebody was like, "Hey, I'm interested in seeing like movies that show sex more realistically," I would be like, "Yeah, watch The Idiots and then watch Shortbus."
Probably would be Never the Idiots, then I will go with Love.
See, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't recommend The Idiots? Well, let's not get. Let's not.
You know how I feel about the idiots. So, it's not about the sex itself. It's not about the orgy, because that's when I stopped watching it the first time. And now that I think about it, there was like some kind of pattern. There's like when the movies become like too sexual, I'll be like, this is
It's
just
like
out. I'm just out. It's like you're just using sex for just catching my attention. But no, I would recommend like many other movies before. I mean, I would recommend 90% of the movies that they can come up to my brain before recommending this one.
I would recommend Antichrist because it shows Willem Dafoe get jacked off until he ejaculates blood. I would rather watch that again than Shortbus.
You're playing a hard game here, man. A hard game. That's crazy. Yeah, I will never recommend this movie. I'm going to be like, just put it on the back of my mind, you know, there is going to be like a door, a lock, you know, there's going to be like giving a self in front of that door. I'm never going to remember this movie.
Let me play devil's advocate a little bit. So we don't like the movie. We think it's talked about just because it has sex in it, but that's still something, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So considering that, is it ever worth recommending to anybody just because it shows sex so graphically?
But the thing is, like, if you want to see sex so graphically, just watch porn.
Yeah. All right. Well, devil's advocate game is over. I agree with you. I never recommend this.
But, you know, I understand your point, right? Oh, if you want to watch a movie that it has, like, really explicit sex and the story sucks, just watch porn. Honestly, just watch porn. Because I'd rather, like, just drop the pretensions is that the story is not good enough for us to sustain this as a movie.
Do you have Amazon Prime?
I do.
Do you ever do they recommend you gay movies because you watched a gay movie in the past?
No, I think that for a while Netflix was doing it, but no, never. I don't think that I ever watched anything gay in Prime Video.
So I did, and so it recommends me shitty gay movies, shitty gay romance movies all the time. Well, that's a good one. God's Own Country, good one. But there's a whole slew of them that are like children making films about gay love, and that's what this felt like. Is like this should have been a straight to some streaming platform. Like nobody should have ever seen this in a movie theater, let alone at Cannes.
With 10-minute ovation.
A 10-minute standing ovation that made the director weep with joy. So.
And then he actually drank his own tears. Could you remember this movie? As a clear example, no, you won't.
I mean, this movie is so forgettable. There are some scenes like the like autofellatio, like that's something I had never seen on screen, and that's what reminded me you've seen this movie before. But no, like in 5 years, I won't remember a single thing about the plot or the characters besides that scene.
I think that I will remember. I won't remember the how do you say, like the plot per se, like the specific points of the plot, but I will remember in a bit more of a cautionary tale. It's like I remember like part of it. I knew that I had watched like half of it, but I didn't remember exactly all the points. I think there's like it starts in such a high sexual point and then the rest into nothing basically. That is like when it started, yeah, I remember like the therapist having sex in the bed and then everywhere else in the house. That is yeah, that's the movie that I remember, you know, and I'm going to keep remembering something like that. And I'm going to remember Severin is such an important character that I have forgotten her. Yeah. And I
hate the sex therapist woman. I hate her character. I think she's so bland and one-dimensional that I got annoyed that when I read this article, she is the one that had the toughest time performing because she never allowed herself to experience sexual pleasure because she was so uncomfortable with her body. And she worked super hard to get to a place where she could do these things on screen, but she said it was the toughest thing she'd ever done. So like, I respect this woman for the things she did, which I think are super brave considering her insecurities, but it doesn't matter. The thing that I see on screen, that is one of the worst written characters that I think we've seen ever.
She has perfect body.
But it doesn't matter how you perceive her, it's how she perceives herself.
No, that's true. That's completely true. She may feel like a bit insecure about like doing something like this in the camera, but maybe maybe on that case you shouldn't be like just sending a tape to a guy that is going to be recording the uncredited sex movie or the untitled sex
But
movie.
isn't that art imitating life? Is that she was trying desperately to get comfortable in her own body enough to get pleasure, and so she's like, I'm going to apply for this untitled sex film.
Like,
and then I'll masturbate on a park bench for everyone to see.
Like, don't make me think about this movie. Don't make me think, okay? And don't make me think about that scene when she actually just goes into the jungle and then she shows up there because like, what the fuck, where the fuck they are? It's like, I love artistic stuff like this, but it's like, what is the point of this? What is happening on the screen right now?
It's like, when did Sex and Lucia come out?
In 2006, I think. Let me just check. I didn't expect that that question like out of the blue. 2001, actually.
I swear to God, this director saw Sex and Lucia and was like, we're going to do something weird with the landscape. She'll be crawling through the jungle and then just arrive on a beach.
That's true. That's true. There is some weird inspiration that it could have happened there. So do you think that there is anything artistic about it?
As much as I love to be annoyed by it, I do think that the transitions with the like animated New York, it was okay. It was surprising knowing that the film had a $2 million budget and something that kind of thoughtful was prepared for just transition shots. So yes, I would say that was kind of interesting. Otherwise, no, no.
I mean, the thing that I wish that this movie had done more is about like representing New York on the big screen. You know, it's like I think that the part about like the clay transitions or the paper mache transitions is cute, but there are a couple of sentences that they actually says that this is New York. This is like why people come here. This is the kind of sexual liberation, the kind of sexual connection that you can have with other people. I wish that they had done more about it, and I think that is the point that it shows that is that you are in the movie, you don't have the money for doing this kind of outdoors in 2006.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure they had a lot of financial constraints, not enough to show what New York is, but yeah, I feel like there was a lot of dialogue that was like, this is New York, this is New York, New York is impermeable, people come to New York to get fucked, but this could have been in any town. It had nothing to do with New York.
Yeah, I mean, in San Francisco, be in LA, it could be even in New Orleans.
Salt Lake City.
Maybe not. I'm talking cities, I'm not talking dams. So for me, I don't think that there is anything artistic about it. I think that the transitions are cute, they are nice, but they don't match with the rest of the movie. It's not really artistic, it's pretty, but it's not artistic.
That's fair. I was trying to throw it a bone somehow.
That's completely fine. Do you think that this movie is timeless?
So in its like pathetic approach to adult sexuality, I do think that it's timeless. Like, I think if we were to watch this film 30 years from now, we would have the exact same opinion. There's nothing that sets it into this like, no, it is timeless, but because it's just bad.
I agree with you. I had the feeling that this movie, it reminded me of crap. I cannot think about the title right now. There is this 80s movie that I think that I told you about, that I sent you like the trailer, that it takes place also in New York, and it's like pretty also like low budget. Of this girl that plays also the guy role of the movie, and they're like some aliens killing everyone that is having sex.
I don't remember this at all.
I will search it, but it's like the more that I am talking about it, is that this is basic. It was like Electric Sky or something like that. Is that this is basically a remake of that, but that one was like so timely, so about like the early 80s, you know, like the transition from the 70s to the electronic 80s. That is like, okay, you cannot consume this out of this moment. This movie doesn't try to hook itself into its time too much, but the depiction that they give of New York, maybe it's because I never experienced New York in this kind of way, I've never felt that this is New York.
Well, you and I had very different experiences at the Cock, so I can't say that I don't see New York as like a sexual place. I think it is, but I see what you say. I mean, I'm just disgusted by this movie.
So could you turn this into a TV show?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah, my answer is going to be only 2 words. No, please.
Honestly, so in the 90s, there were really shitty soap operas late night on MTV, but like for teenagers who wanted to watch something risque, like it was as close as I could get to pornography at the time. Like 15-year-old me would have watched this every night and, been jerking off, but there's no reason for this to be any longer than the hour and 40 minutes that it was. In fact, this film would have benefited greatly if it were like an hour and 10 minutes, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or just being a short.
Yes.
Just 30 minutes. It's just remove 17. It's like, 17 is a dominatrix, and dominatrix is like, oh yeah, it's a cool thing because I've never seen that. But it's like, let's just remove that. Just all together. It's like, if you're not going to be like driving this character anywhere, the only thing cool that Severin does is like the Polaroid pictures and just writing something on top of it. I think that part was cool, visually cool, but it didn't do anything.
But by that point, the whole hipster Brooklyn vibe made me so furious that I was like, oh, okay, we get it. The like edgy girl takes Polaroids and hands them out. Like, okay, yeah, I mean, this is every hipster trope that's existed.
That's fair. That's completely fair. Should we score this thing?
I have no idea how to score this. I hate it even more after this conversation.
I know. Even I think that I'm like being like too generous with this movie, but my score is a 4.
Oh wow, mine's a 3. So
yeah, I know that you're going to be like a bit lower. I decided to stop like just lowering it because I started from I was like maybe there is some kind of saving grace that I haven't seen. So I'm going to start with a 5.5 and let's see where we go. And you made me like just lower it to 4, and obviously I would keep having. I'm pretty sure that like, if we review this like a month from now, I will lower this to a 3 or even lower.
And I just keep going back to like 5 is perfectly mediocre. This is definitely 2 steps below for me. I understand it's subjective. Yeah. This is below average for a film.
Oh yeah,
no matter how many people I saw. So
yeah. And the funny thing is, like, I think that it's a movie that the more that it displays itself, it becomes like more and more obvious that they don't know exactly what to do with the movie.
Yep.
And it's the
the director broadcast that. He was like, I don't have a script. We're just going to go with the flow. Well, that doesn't always work out.
Can you tell me only once that worked out?
I don't think I can name another film where they were just like, who's willing to show sex on stage? Let's film you. Just figure out what you want to show. That is a brilliant film.
Okay. I'm not going to be like that.
He had a script, though. He had a script.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, you may not like The Idiots, but the emotional climax of that film, you can't just like wing it and go with the flow and get me to feel that bad.
I had the feeling that is, holy shit. I have my project for 2021 and I'm like just giving it right now on the air. It's about like just doing something that it can make you feel that kind of emotional impact. That is going to be like 10 minutes of bullshit and then it's going to be like a slap on the face. Literally slap on the face. And I'm just looking for that kind of emotional impact on you.
I figured it out. You give me a wrapped present. It's the stages of your mustache. I open it, I'm super happy, and then you just slap me and take it back.
Exactly. It's like, it's not for you. It's not for you. You cannot be happy. You can never.
I thought it was for you. You're so stupid.
Honestly, in any case, The Idiots, we didn't like, the score was below 7 from all of us. Just saying. It may have like emotional payoff, but in this case, there is no emotional payoff on Shortbus. There is nothing.
Agreed, but, and be honest, when you hold the idiots up next to Shortbus, one looks like a film a child made on an iPhone.
Yeah.
And one feels like a grown-up film that you may not like, you may not think is good, but it's a grown-up film.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for me, is that The Idiots is an experiment, it's a trolling exercise from Lars von Trier, but it's a movie. On this, I'm not sure. It's like, I actually give it a 4, but now that I'm checking the score, if I think about The Room, I give it a 2. And I think that Room is more enjoyable than this for watching it. But also because I like...
better about my score is because I would say that Shortbus is a little bit better than The Room, but they're very close.
So give it a 1 to Room. But the thing is, like, it's enjoyable in an unintended kind of way. It's like Tom Wiseau, whatever was his name, is like he was not intended to be enjoyable in a so bad that it's good kind of way. This was intended to be is good that it's good kind of way, and it's not. It's not even close to me. I think the only reason why I give it a 4 is because I actually appreciate, and I was going to really mention this, so thank you so much for actually just bringing up the contest, that the sex feels most of the time realistic. You know, most of the time it doesn't feel like, oh, just have sex. Love, for example, feels like just have sex. Feels a bit more staged. But with this, the kind of interaction of the Jamies, for example, it feels a bit more, it's like, this feels like more natural, more like what would be like just being a relationship.
Yeah, there is some like natural feel to the Jamies. That's true. That's the one relationship where it broke my heart, not to go back into discussing the film, but non-suicidal Jamie walks in just as suicidal Jamie came on his face. And suicidal Jamie says, I just jerked off. And the other Jamie's like, well, I hope you thought of me. And then suicidal Jamie just like leaves. Like, oh my God, this feels a little too realistic.
Not only realistic, but it's like, in that case, why wouldn't you say that? Yeah, of course.
I know, right?
It's like, why would...
He was making a goodbye video.
But if you have spent as the, you know, like the stalker next door, is that just saying about like, you have been like just planning your suicide for a year? I don't remember what the time frame is. Like, I think that you have been like spending so much time like doing this. Why wouldn't you lie to your partner about like, of course, my love. What are you thinking about? It's like you are the perfect man in my life.
I never look at pornography. I only think of you.
Yeah, and come in my mouth. Okay, so for next time, I know that we discussed this before the podcast. I had an option for you. So my 2 options was Iron 3 by Kinky Duke. That is like, as you expect, a slow Asian movie about a guy that pretends that is not there and he has an affair with a married woman.
Yeah, scandalous.
Yeah. Well, compared with this now. Or women on the verge of a nervous attack.
I have an immediate opinion about this choice, but I don't want to influence you. If you picked one, let's just...
No. I'm letting you choose, because when you actually talk about like the line between campy and serious story, I immediately thought about this movie.
Absolutely Almodovar film. There's no... That's it.
No, that's totally fine. I love that movie. It was my favorite. Did you watch it?
Nope.
Okay. I'm super looking forward to watch something from '88 that it looks almost straight from John Waters.
I can't wait. I mean, all the Almodovar films that you've shown me, I've absolutely loved. And I know, like, when I took you to I'm So Excited, you felt the same way.
I felt something. Let's just leave it there. Let's just say that this was not his biggest film.
No, I'm super excited. You have been my guide to earlier Almodovar. I've seen most of his recent films, but not the earlier stuff, so I always love when you recommend an earlier film.
All right, cool, man. Anything else to say about Shortbus?
Just don't watch it. Don't. I mean, Go to Pornhub. Pornhub will show you much better plot lines and character development.
Well, not so much anymore, to be fair.
That's true. They deleted like 90% of their site, but there's still like 1 million videos, so it's fine.
Yeah, there have to be like some pics in there. Just search. Yeah. Okay, and to those, whoever is listening to this, is what are you doing with your life? Come on, man, is that just do something better? But thank you so much for listening.
Wash your hands.
Bye.